Hello and welcome to PGuru's channel. Today I have a very special guest, Dr. Omendra Ratno. Dr. Omendra Ratno is an ENT surgeon. He has his own hospital in Jaipur and he runs an initiative called Nimit Ekam. And this initiative has been very involved in helping the cause of Hindus who are settled in Pakistan who are wishing to migrate to India. Remember that it doesn't stop at just getting them an entry into India. They need to be rehabilitated, homes have to be found, careers have to be set up, and so on and so forth. So he has been doing a yeoman service towards the Hindu community who wants to return back to India because they can no longer survive in Pakistan. And I'm hearing more and more about his initiatives from the other border also. So without taking much time, I'd like to introduce and welcome Dr. Omendra. Omendra ji, welcome to PGuru's channel.
Namaste.
So Omendra ji, where did Nimit Ekam start and how did it grow to be what it is now? And I'm really fascinated by the amount of work you've done. I've seen things, I've heard things, but this is the first time I've had the pleasure of meeting you, sir.
Yeah, Shriji, the idea of Nimit Ekam probably took its origin about a decade ago when I started interacting with Pakistani Hindu refugees. Being in Rajasthan, there were a few people who used to come to my clinic as patients, and then I would find out. There were also a couple of Pakistani Hindu doctors whom I got a chance to work with and find out about the situation that Pakistani Hindus were facing in that country. But because the country involved was an enemy nation, Pakistan, by Indian standards, so I was very reluctant to do anything on paper about it. So I used to help these people with whatever I could with my money and my connections. Come 2014, and BJP took this issue in their state and as well as the national manifesto. Shri Modi ji very compassionately and very intelligently took up this issue and put it in the manifesto of the BJP that Hindus from undivided India in Pakistan and Bangladesh are natural citizens of this country, which was a pretty bold statement to make. And a lot of prostitutes were after his life that why only Hindus, why not other communities, to which he gave a very suave and a very clear-cut answer that Hindus are the ones who are persecuted, and that's why the BJP government will open its arms to these persecuted Hindus. Now once this was taken up by a major political party, then it became a very simple issue for us. And we started the NGO by the name of Nimit Ekam. Nimit Ekam is a word I've taken from the Bhagavad Gita, that we are mere instruments of Shri Krishna. Nimitta matram bhavasavya. That's what Shri Krishna asked Arjun. You be my nimitta and carry on my karma. I have decided what is to be done. So let not anybody be under any illusion that we are the doers. We are just the instruments of the divine. We will go away when this body dissolves, but the Sanatan Dharma and the work of Dharma will carry on. That is why the name. And once we got registered with the state government, it is a society that I had constituted. Then I had this gentleman called Jay Ahuja who joined me, who is now the main pillar on which Nimit Ekam stands, because he does all the groundwork. And I do the fundraising and the philosophical articulation of the whole issue of Pakistani Hindu survival. Just a longish reply.
No, I think that was fascinating. Also, I'd like our viewers to, especially those who think that the Modi government has done nothing for the cause of Hindus, I'd like you to kind of explain to our viewers the number of refugees that are coming into India, Hindus, Sanatanis, I would say, and how the government has been quietly doing a lot for them. I mean, I don't know if it is lot or little, but I would
No.
like to hear from your own words, sir.
Yeah, that's critical that we spread the word around how boldly this government has helped these Hindus. And there's nothing quiet about it. These are official documents, which I'll be very glad to share with you. There's nothing quiet about it. The BJP under Shri Narendra Modi put this in their election manifesto. It was out there in open. And ever since 2014, regular notifications have been issued by the Home Ministry, the Central Home Ministry, to help these refugees. Now, let us look at the dynamics of this whole problem. There are 8 million Hindus in Pakistan. 80 lakh Hindus still, as of date, living in that country. Now, they are living a life of extreme suffering. And if you want to understand this whole issue, I'll be sharing a link which Indic University recorded. The whole issue, the caste configuration, what are the kind of issues that Hindus face, how easy or difficult it is for them to get a visa of that state. That I will be sharing with you. If that anybody's interested, they can look at that video.
Yeah, take your time. I can pause. Take your time. I can pause.
Okay, just
Yeah.
sorry. So
Go ahead.
we'll start again.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Please continue from where you left off. No problem. I'll edit it.
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, but if we want to focus on what Modi ji has done on this issue, is that from 2004 to 2014, the UPA government came up with a very evil dictum that anybody who has to sponsor a visa of a Pakistani Hindu has to get to be a gazetted officer. Now, which was effectively closing doors on these unfortunate people. Which government servant in his sane mind, which government servant in his sane mind would sponsor a Pakistani citizen to come to Bharat?
But is there no
ludicrous?
Was there no equivalent of a gazetted officer in Pakistan who could sponsor this?
The issue, the Pakistan doesn't have to give the visa. The visa has to be given by the Indian government, no?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Please continue.
So this was effectively closing doors on that. This was how evil the last 10 years regime of UPA was. Now, what Modi ji did was to not only, because he could not do away with every single notification, what he did was that during the Vajpayee government regime, they had done a revolutionary thing, that they had given the district collectors of Jaipur, Jodhpur and Jaisalmer, which are the major 3 districts where these refugees walk in. They had given the district collectors of these districts the power to give citizenship, which was revolutionary.
Yes.
Which was revolutionary in itself.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Now that was taken away by the UPA government. That no, for all security reasons we can't do that. While the Bangladeshis were walking in, this is what they did to Pakistani Hindus. This was restarted by Modi ji, which was revolutionary within itself, because please understand, a Hindu who comes in from Pakistan is penniless, is completely shattered, his confidence is zero. If you expect him to register himself in
या कुछ कट के फिर आया
मेरा वो बैटरी चला लो हो गया है
अच्छा एक
तो
हाँ बोलिए
should I get the battery एक मिनट ले आऊं
हाँ या प्लीज
but then मेरे को फिर ये हटाना पड़ेगा यार
एक
ridiculous
मैं पॉज करता हूं प्लीज कंटिन्यू
तो when these poor penniless absolutely shattered Hindus would land in Bharat, for them to go to Delhi and seek an appointment with the Ministry of Home Affairs, with the bureaucrats and the people there, was a nightmare within itself. So from, in Hindi we say कि आसमान से गिरा खजूर में अटका. So from Pakistan they come to Bharat and this is what they suffered. So what Modi ji did was to reissue the orders to grant of citizenship, the power of granting citizenship to the collectors. And very fortunately, it was Nimit Ekam that started the process in Jaipur about a couple of years ago. And the first batch of Pakistani Hindus that were granted citizenship. We're not talking about visas, we're not talking about the short-term arrangements, but concrete citizenship. 64 Hindus were granted citizenship in one shot by the Jaipur collector, Shri Sanjay Mahajanji, Sunil Mahajan, which was very bold of him to do it. We had to pester him that you have the government order now. That was one thing that Modi ji did. The other things he has done very gradually through different notifications is to grant the power to open a bank account, to have a driving license, to even have 200 square feet private property to these Pakistani Hindu refugees. Now, these are not who are already citizens. Any Pakistani Hindu who walks in with relevant documents on the premise of his Pakistani passport, he is given an Aadhaar card. And it is stated in that Aadhaar card that he is a Pakistani citizen.
I see.
And premised and based on that Aadhaar card, he is allowed to open a bank account. He can have a driving license, and he can also have private property, which is effectively absorbing these people into the mainstream. What it does is to send a tremendously positive signal back in Pakistan.
Yes.
For Hindus who are stranded there, that there is hope.
Yes.
Hindus, the Indian government cares. So they suffer the jihadis, but they still cling to the dharma that if not today, maybe 5 years down the line, 2 years down the line, we too will be able to go back to our motherland. That's what Modi ji has done. In amount of sheer numbers, approximately 2,000 Hindus are coming to Bharat every month. So from 2014, if we calculate, it's approximately 1 lakh Hindus have been saved by this government in sheer numbers.
You know, it's really strange that none of the mainstream media will ever report about this effort of the Modi government to help Hindu refugees. Now, I have a question, Omendra ji. Once they come here and let's say they have got their citizenship papers, how do they start their life again? What happens then?
See, very fortunately, what is the scenario here, Shriji, is that just like in Bharat, in Pakistan also the Hindus have a caste configuration. So fortunately, the trickle of Hindus from Pakistan has been going on since 47. But majorly it happened in 1971 with the Indo-Pak War. There was a area called Chhachro, and the Indian army simply walked into that area, into Pakistan, about 35-40 kilometers into Pakistani territory.
I see.
In 71. And this was entirely a Hindu area.
I see.
Now, when Shimla Accord was signed and India walked back, ceding the territory, 1 lakh Hindus simply packed their belongings and walked with the Indian army into the Indian side of the border.
I see. You know,
this was an area.
I just wanted to put one thought in viewers' mind. You know, viewers, we all are taught that, caste, mentioning your caste is a bad thing. It's not. Caste is an excellent social capital if it is used in a correct way. By the way, Professor R. Vaidyanathan's next book is about caste as a social capital. See how people come together and help the refugees of their own caste. This is nothing wrong in this. Please continue.
Exactly. This is the ploy of the leftists to break and attack the caste system. I would go to the extent of saying that if Hinduism has survived the 1400-year onslaught of Islamic conquest, it has been purely on caste basis, because we had the ecosystems of different castes taking care of their own. In Hindi we say sukh dukh mein saath dena, to be with each other in their happiness and their joy and sadness.
Right.
And that is the reason an atomized West will not be able to resist jihad. It is the Hindus who will resist it because we have a caste structure, which are small ecosystems. Now, caste discrimination is evil. I'm not saying that caste discrimination should be promoted, but caste system per se is a blessing of our forefathers.
Absolutely.
So what happens is,
yeah.
So what happens is that 80% of these refugees are so-called Dalits and scheduled castes. I call them Sahodaras. Sahodara means to be born of the same mother. So for me, they are my brothers. So I do not use a Christian word or a Muslim word like Bhai. I use the Sanskrit word Sahodara. So when these Sahodaras walk across the border, there are different communities. There is a Bhil community, there is Meghwal, there are Malis, there are Old Rajputs, there are Jats. Now what we do as Nimit Ekam is to connect these people to their communities. Of these, two communities are the worst hit, which are the Bhils and the Meghwals. Meghwals come from southern Punjab of Pakistan, the district called Rahim Yar Khan, where miraculously there are still 10 lakh Meghwals still surviving. And I don't know, it's amazing. These people are amazing, boss. It's a spiritual experience to talk to them. I'll share you a small incident once we are done with this. So 7 million in Sindh, and these are all scattered around rural interior Sindh, where they are living a life of extreme suffering and penury. And Bhils is the other community. They come from Sindh, and they are the ones who really need our economic help. Right now, Nimit Ekam doesn't have the funds to erect a kind of ecosystem where we can absorb them. But fortunately, globally, Hindus have been very forthcoming on this issue, and most of these migrants are absorbed in their into the ecosystems of their own castes.
That's wonderful. Now, Dr. Saab, I wanted to ask you a slightly different question here. Now, there have
call me Omiji.
Omiji. Omiji. The question that I have in my mind is, there has been interference from missionaries who have been trying to harvest souls. How much of an impact do you see of them? Sometimes they'll even impede the process because they have the bureaucracy, babus who are helping them out. Otherwise, they couldn't be surviving or thriving even. And is there interference because of that, or you don't see that as a problem?
No. You see, you have to understand that the missionary influence is very subtle and I would say cunning. And on the other hand, the jihadis are very open and direct assault. When these Hindus do not yield to the physical violent assault, they have zero interest in any kind of missionary subterfuge, if I could say.
Okay.
They just don't listen to them, and till now we have never faced even a single case of because they just don't yield to them.
Yes,
these are very fiercely Hindu people. I'll tell you what I wanted to tell you.
Survived in Pakistan.
Yeah, I ask a lot of Meghwals and Bhils and these so-called Dalit Sahodaras that why didn't you convert? How come you're simple answer what they give. साहब बाप दादाओं का धर्म कैसे छोड़ दें?
Very nice.
Can you understand the beauty and the grandeur of this statement? बाप दादाओं का धर्म कैसे छोड़ दें? So that's no missionary
Wonderful.
bullshit is for urban Hindus. These are for urban Hindus who have mortgaged their intellect and dharmic values to pseudo.
Omiji, how can global Hindus such as myself help in the cause of Nimit Ekam?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Shriji. You people can help us a lot. it is one of the very sad realizations of my life that such an important issue has been completely neglected by this so-called Hindu leadership, if there is a thing called Hindu leadership. I went to the Department of State in the United States a couple of years ago, and I am a nobody. I don't represent any organization. I am just a simple surgeon making my ends meet. But since I have been involved with this issue, the Hindu American Foundation connected me to the Department of State. And to my utter joy and amazement and a bit of sadness in the heart, there were ladies of the State Department who listened to the entire saga of how 1 crore Hindus have been digested by evil philosophies and evil ways of life in the past 70 years because of inaction of the Hindu leadership. You hear so many stories about Kashmir and the Indian occupation of Kashmir and the forces and this and that and pellets and human rights violation. Why has the Hindu leadership forsaken these Hindus? It baffles me to no end. Is it the job of a middle class surgeon to pick up this issue and raise hell about it? Or is it not the job of the Hindu leadership to run around the globe, United Nations, Canada, or any country which takes refugees to evacuate these 8 million Hindus and save their lives and dharma? So what you guys sitting there globally can do is to raise hell on this. I can send you dozens of videos. I can send you the statistics, the raw data, how Hindus have been persecuted. They are all documented things. BBC has made documentaries. I have my own personal documentaries from that place. There was an international case of a Wrinkle Kumari. You can always Google it and you can find out what that child was made to undergo at the tender age of 16. How jihadis mauled that poor child just for being a Hindu. And if we are able to raise this issue on the global level, then you have to understand even the strategic implications of this. We can put that nation on defensive. The moment they start talking about Kashmir, all that the Indian delegate needs to do is to stand up and say, where are your Hindus?
Absolutely.
That's one thing.
Absolutely.
That's one way of, yeah.
It is it's one of P. Guru's objectives to portray the truth. Thank you, sir. Please continue.
Secondly, very interestingly, of these 8 million Hindus, about 2 million Hindus are rich. They are rich Hindus. They are Baniyas, Agarwals, Arodas, Maheshwaris, and they are still traders in that country. And surprisingly, they constitute about 1% of the population of that entire country. They give 15% of the income tax of that country. Can you imagine if we take out these Hindus out of that country, the already fragile economy of that country will simply collapse. These are the issues which we need to bring out in the open and discuss about them, that how critical Hindus are to the ecosystem of any nation for that matter. And if you persecute them, if you pick up their daughters, 3 Hindu girls, teenage girls, are picked every single day. Entire village rapes them. And then they are converted and married off to a retard or an imbecile or a physically handicapped person, saying that this lady has converted to Islam.
This is heart-rending. So,
in 21st century, 24/7 cameras, when we bleed on a single akhlaq or a single mob lynching, cow slaughter and issues, this genocide, approximately 1,500 Hindu girls picked up every year. There is a guy called Gordon Baloch living in Delhi. Imagine his trauma, sir. His daughter was picked up and married to a jihadi. This man has to live on this globe aware of this fact that his daughter is living a life of slavery.
so heartrending to know this, and
Yes, and
I make
we
a
should raise hell on this issue.
yes,
And second, lastly, everything, any institution requires money to run. So my humble request to global Hindus is to we call it, the idea is called as the Dharmansh, that give 100 rupees or $100 a month to Nimittekam. There is the website. Extricating one Hindu out of Pakistan requires 20,000 rupees, because the visa the cost and the number of trips he has to make from interior rural Sindh to Islamabad Indian Embassy. So the more money we have, the more Hindus we'll be able to take out. That's all that I have to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Umiji. It's heartrending to hear this, and I think
Yes.
we are with you. We will do what best we can, and we have, in fact,
Yes.
at least in the United States, I can say that we have taken up some causes and really helped move India along in what little way we can, and this will definitely go up on the top of our list. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Namaste. Thank you
Namaste.
so much for